Hello and welcome to the program Violence Free World. My name is Callivision, and as we look to heal from the injuries that we had from the last general elections, now it is a time to begin the reconciliation proper. Well, I happen to have as guest on the show today Honorable Julius Ihonvbere, who is a professor of international relations and political science. He represents Owan Federal Constituency of Edo State in the House of Representatives, where he also chairs the Committee on Basic Education and Services. He's also a former secretary to the state government of Edo State. Professor, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And let's begin by saying congratulations on your re-election.
Ah, well, thank you.
Well, we're going to delve straight into the conversation, but after this, don't go away. Welcome back. While you may still be enjoying your victory, celebrating the victory, legitimacy is one thing that your party crave for the more, or more of it is what they crave for right now. I'm referring to the president-elect, particularly Bola Tinubu. Now, he is one of the presidents that has won the election with about the least number of votes in recent history. I don't know, how easy do you think this is going to be a tax for the APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu particularly?
All right, thank you. I think for the president-elect, it should not be a problem. He's a seasoned politician, he's a technocrat, he's a grassrooter. Is somebody who understands the need to pool constituencies and communities together, and is somebody who can negotiate even with an opponent to reach an understanding. I've worked closely with him before. We were together in exile in the Nadeko days when we were doing Radio Kudirat and fighting for the restoration of democracy in Nigeria. So I've seen him work at close quarters, I've seen him work under pressure, and I've seen him manage conflict. So for him, the situation in which we find ourselves should not be too difficult to handle. He is not someone who believes in extending anger or taking grudges to levels that any rational or matured individual, politician for that matter, will do. So as it is, I think he's already made his pronouncement on the need for healing, and I think he's also thinking about how do you bring in alienated individuals, alienated communities. There is no time you're going to get everybody on board. It has never happened in human history, not even in so-called developed economies. There will always be persons who stay out of it for personal reasons, even spiritual reasons. But the president-elect has the skill, he has the experience, he has the capacity, he has the understanding of the country to pull people out of the fractions and the factions that have emerged from the elections.
The election run on the tripod of Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, which is rather unfortunate, with a dose of the Christian-Muslim sentiment. And now we are looking to see how to move forward from here. We thought we had gone past this before, or we should have done a lot better. How much damage do you think this did to our craving for national unity?
In my view, not too much, not really. You see, these ethnic things, religious things are just used to bamboozle the Nigerian people. These people you're talking about, they all are shareholders in the multinational companies. When they go, they fly on the same airlines. They have houses abroad. Their children are friends. They are intermarrying. It is when they are struggling for positions, they come to the people and play those cards. But amongst the major candidates or contestants at that time, aside from one whom I did hear say, vote for me because I'm from this part of the country, most of the others never played the ethnic cards. Yes, some followers will do, but that doesn't mean you encourage them to go and do it. But what the point I'm making is that right now, Nigerians have gone beyond those ethnic considerations. What unites them now is hunger, unemployment, bad roads, insecurity, lack of access to their own monies that are deposited in banks, dilapidated institutions. That is what unites them, because they experience this on a daily basis. Lack of power. Power doesn't know ethnicity. They take your light. They don't say Igbo people in this street move to the right. We want to take the light of those Yoruba people. They don't do that. All these people who are playing ethnic cards, when they are sick and they get to the hospital, they don't ask for, oh, I need an Edo doctor. If there's no Edo doctor here, no surgery. They don't say that. So, to me, those things no longer have validity in the political calculations. That does not mean some people will not use it. But is it not the same country they voted for Abiola's ticket across the country? Is it not the same country they rejected some candidates from certain parts of the country? So I believe that the discourse at the moment and the existential conditions facing Nigeria, ethnic solutions cannot solve any. Religious solutions cannot solve any. So every Nigerian is beginning to look, every home. I have children who are unemployed. Yes, they are at home. And almost all Nigerians have unemployed people, 40% unemployment. And you are talking of Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. They are starving Yoruba people. They are starving Hausa people. They are starving Edo people at the Shekiri, you name it. The solution to starvation is one, and that is food. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. You know, so I think our job as public and educators is to let Nigerians rise beyond this, and I think they're doing that.
Okay, now perhaps one of the biggest reminder, the Igbo versus Yoruba feud that ensued in Lagos during the elections is one of the biggest pointer to an issue we have failed to resolve in the past. Now, going forward, how do you think we can better manage this situation?
Well, there are two levels. At the time, just before the elections, I also saw prominent Igbo leaders who came out to talk to their people and say, look, we've done well in Lagos. We have neighbors that are from Lagos. Our children are in the same school, so let's not play this game too far. When people are not achieving their political goals, the tendency is to become desperate. And in that desperation, they play up all kinds of games. And where there's deprivation, the tendency also is for people to become vulnerable to those kind of games. Now, after all the talk, how many of those who were playing the games have provided succor to those who were victims of their ethnic games? None. So people come to realize that at the end of the day, it is not about that. Obasanjo was president of Nigeria. There are poor people in his village, Ibogu. There are poor people in Ota. Shagari was president. Go to Sokoto. There are people begging on the streets there. So producing a president from your village or your ethnic group does not guarantee anything at the end of the day, because that is a national property, a national figure. And performance depends on your own character, your ideological disposition, the premium you place on collective and inclusive politics in society. When you don't do that, you lose the ability to even let people understand where you are coming from. Julius was president of Tanzania. They didn't have anything, but people believed in him. They knew he was honest, he was forthright, they could trust him, and he identified with them to the lowest level possible. and he provided credible leadership for a poverty-stricken country to the level that his international reputation was very, very high till he died. So the point I'm making, therefore, is that, yes, people played up those games, but they are back to work. They are back to paying their rents. They are back to facing the litany of problems they faced every day. And they are moving away.
Are you one of the persons that believe that we should just allow time?
No. Time is critical in every dislocation.
Yes.
Time plays a role, whether it is Rwanda, whether it is in Poland, or even in Russia. The time plays a role in healing wounds. But in that same process, I believe public policy, public program, the role public intellectuals play, the media is critical for this. You have some media houses today, the way they behave is like the election has not taken place. They like to recall everything that was bitter in the past. They delve into people's personal lives in order to show they are not qualified to even speak, even when they invited them to their stations. Such organizations and individuals therein are not helping the cause of a united, peaceful Nigeria. So the media has a lot of role to play. Civil society organizations also have a responsibility for public education, and they must rise to the occasion, recognizing that this is the time to speak. The president-elect has taken the bull by the horn by making a statement appealing for healing. It is not left for others who consider themselves stakeholders in the Nigerian project to begin to say, all right, enough is enough. Election has happened. It has gone to the courts. Let the court decide. But while the court is doing that, let us begin to realize, rebuild the country, rebuild confidence in governance, rebuild confidence in leadership, begin to talk about peace, recognizing that violence does no one any good.
Assuaging the feelings of some persons feeling most hot right now, Toggery, and even the youth democracy are some of the issues we're going to come back and talk to when we return from this break. This is Violence Free World. We'll be right back after this time out. Be here. Welcome back. This is Violence Free World. Probably before we went on the break, we are hinting at assuaging the feelings of Nigerians who feel hurt by the way things went. I asked my questions advisedly, knowing that you've been very, very much involved with the federal character in Nigeria as regards to positioning. Does it mean that people think that some persons are very, very insensitive to these concerns holds ground?
No, for the National Assembly, when I inaugurated in June, one, we review our standing orders. Then we look at the legislative agenda, which is the document that will guide us in what we do. If you look at Femi Gbajabiamila, he's been a team player. He's been the mobilizer. He's been somebody who is able to play above those primordial sentiments. And with that, he has carried everybody along. Have you ever heard of an attempt to impeach Femi Gbajabiamila?
No.
No. So that is a leader. So the point I'm making, therefore, at the level of the National Assembly, I belong to the APC. We will zone the positions. If a position is sent to my zone, I will have a democratic right to join the race for it. If it is not zoned to my area, there's no reason why I should not go and knock my head on the wall. Rather, I'll look for those who are running in other areas to which positions have been zoned, look for who is the most competent, whose philosophy, ideas, and mode of politics agrees with mine, and support the individual.
All right, moving forward, the level of thuggery that manifested in the last elections is a pointer to the issue we have with punishing electoral offenders, people who get involved with electoral violence. It seems like there's a lack of political will to punish these persons. A lot of persons would have been indicted and probably even arrested, but at the end of the day, very few or none at all are punished. And this is why you had this happening. If this is still not checked this time, but the next one is going to be a lot worse. Coming from the position with the National Assembly, how concerned or how embarrassing is this for you?
Oh, absolutely, I'm not embarrassed at all. The laws are there. It's like corruption. Corruption is still everywhere. But there's EFCC, there's ICPC, there is the police, and all the laws are there in the books to punish them. Okay? So, and there is nowhere in the world where there is no thuggery, violence, disagreement in political process. What matters is the thuggery dominates. I did an election. Nobody was beaten up. There was no thuggery. But we did a state assembly in which the powers that be in the state sent in thugs into every ward because they were scared of being impeached if people from other parties were elected. Now, it is a desperation for power that encourages people. If you have not performed in office, then you have to rely on thuggery, manipulation, lies, vote buying to win. I didn't buy vote. There was even no money to buy vote from anybody or to anybody. Now, you therefore find that there is a correlation in some respects with ignorance, poverty, bad leadership, opportunistic leadership, and political violence. Because if you are sure of what you are doing, if you have performed and you have your record to point at, and you know your opponent does not have anything to point at, why do you need talks? You don't need it. So for us in the National Assembly, in the House of Reps, we'll take a look if there are ways in which we can strengthen existing laws. But we make the laws, we don't execute them. So you have to look at what is the police doing. Now they said they've arrested almost 800 persons for political violence and thuggery. That is a very small number of the totality of people who were involved in that kind of activity across the country. It is the way you punish them now that will teach or send signals and lessons to others in the future. You know, for us, we can make the laws, we can toughen the laws, we can increase the penalties. We can also advocate for a better judicial system. Our justice system in the country has a lot of problems. Too many criminals, fewer judges, fewer courts, low technology input, poor funding. All of this also delay. So you ask somebody, a judge, okay, what do I do? This man snatched a ballot box, but this one killed 20 people. Which one do I prosecute first?
All right, moving forward, youth demography, youth anger was palpable this last time.
That is true.
More like a warning. And the youth, the young people craving for a total paradigm shift. They want to see something new entirely. And they moved like they wanted to see that happen immediately. I'm wondering the kind of fears that run through your mind why that was happening, being that you belong to the pro-establishment, why that was happening. The obedience factors, the labor factor during the elections. And then going forward, it's just going to be a 2-in-1 question. Inclusiveness generally will cater to all of that ultimately. In your own way, as a legislator and as an individual, how have you been carrying on as far as carrying young people, the youth, along?
Okay. First is that, every nation must make preparations, so to say, that there must be a paradigm shift, there must be a generational shift in the management of national affairs. But it is not something you force. It is not something you decree. It is something that emerges from a very systematic process of mentoring, dialogue, gaining experience, and creating room. There are countries in the world where in every ministry you have a youth desk, in which case there's a certain percentage of programs and policies in that ministry, including employment, that brings in the youth. Even in Uganda, right after Idi Amin, they reserved certain seats for disabled people, for the youth, and for women because of historical discrimination and disadvantages. Now, in the case of Nigeria, our youth have demonstrated capacity, intelligence, and tenacity over time. But I think the major drawback I see there is their belief that technology is the solution. Because you are an IT specialist or you have access to technology, it means you can be a governor. Please, there's nothing like that. It doesn't work that way. I've been in government at all levels, and I know it doesn't work that way. There has to be, what is missing is there's a divide between the new generation agitating for power and those that they want to succeed. I think that is wrong. There has to be some understanding to say, we understudy you, we bring in technology to increase the pace of work, to increase accountability, to increase discipline, to increase record keeping, to check corruption, to check waste. All of that is possible. And those who are in the generation that is shifting out must accept that, whether they like it or not. If they don't buy it now, they will be forced out. The young people will make their mistakes, but eventually they will also settle down if the mistakes do not destroy them and the nation. Now, having said that, let me also quickly add that in my own constituency, the obedient movement did not give me any trouble in my campaign at all. In fact, they had a candidate, but he stood no chance whatsoever because I did my work as a legislator better than ever in that constituency with all sense of humility. There is no ward of my 22 wards that they now have 2, 3, 4, even 5 projects. After you have renovated or constructed over 48 schools and furnished them and supplied school materials, done street lights, done water, done over 12 training programs, award scholarship, paid for JAMB, paid for NECO, paid for WAEC, did empowerment for women. Whoever is coming in to compete with you when he has not done one of those things, and I didn't start them in the House of those things in the House of Reps. It was before I even came in here. It was not a contest, but I still had to go there and work as if my life depended on it. You know, so your message is easier to the ears, it's sweeter to the ears of people listening when you say, in this very world I am in, I have done 1, 2, 3, 4. I've attracted 1, 2, 3, 4. I've created jobs 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you even tell them, call my opponent. If he's done more than me, vote for him.
All right, Prof, as we well know, your word of advice to these young people looking at violent people become successful people, become great people, why they are trying to be cautious?
Well, first, there is no alternative to knowledge. I tell you, my brother, you can have all the money in the world. If your brain is empty, you are not be able to manage that resource, that fund, the money you have. So my first advice is seek knowledge. In today's world, it's a technology and information-driven world. Empower yourself technologically. It's very critical, it's important. Build the relevant networks of people within your age group, below you and above you. It never hurts to build that kind of network. Avoid violence. Violence never brings anything. If it's a revolution, yes, but there's no guarantee that the revolution will bring fruits, because the revolution is the easy part. It's the day after the revolution that is what matters. Yes. Otherwise, you are inviting a counter-revolution.
The day after the revolution.
So I believe that our young people Yes, they are ready. They can do anything. They have the capacity. They've demonstrated it. But there has to be a system to pulling this off.
Well, Prof, I think that's a very good point to leave at this point. I'd like to thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Well, I've been speaking with Professor Julius Ihonvbere, a member representing Owan Federal Constituency in Edo State. Prof, again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, this is Violence Free World. Same time next week promises more. Until then, please remember to remain on the road to a violence-free Nigeria. My name is Callivision. Thank you for watching.
No.